Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. Several months ago, I met a gentleman named George Vincent, and George Vincent and I have been working together on a lot of things. He started off as a customer and is a programmer by nature and is interested, if you will, in making that transition. In addition to doing the programming, he wants to be able to work from home and be that entrepreneur. So he had a lot of great thoughts and a lot of great ideas and a great and brilliant mind and a good guy. And I said, I think we should probably be working together, and let's do a radio show series. And as we do our radio show series, we'll be able to document some of the things that are going on for those people that are interested in building home-based businesses. And George Vincent has a great mind where he's able to find different things and kind of creatively work, and he's a self-starter for sure. So he's helping us with movies, and he's helping us with different devices as far as hardware and software. But we've been starting these radio shows talking a little bit about artificial intelligence, automation, and some of the challenges these will face as far as elimination of some jobs and some of the things that people need to be concerned about. But today we're going to switch it around a little bit and share with you some of the benefits of that. But the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce to you Mr. George Vincent. So, George, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Peter. And I want to thank the listeners for tuning in because obviously without you guys, there's no reason to do this show. So I really want to thank everybody for tuning in and continue to tune in, and thank you for your support. All right, let's get to it. I decided that we should probably approach this particular show from a different point of view, which is the point of view of business. What is the benefit of automation to business? And I think if you've been working for any amount of time, hopefully you've learned that everything that you do, whether it's a proposal or if you're trying to get a raise or whatever it is, if you really want to be successful, then you should frame every argument around the benefit to the particular business that you're appealing to. I found that to be extremely helpful in my career, and that's I think I've probably been using that since I was in the military. So, but here's a kind of a short list of things or benefits that automation does present to business. For one thing, it gives a decrease in part cycle time, and that's pretty crucial. Robots can work longer and faster, which increases the production rate. Another one would be improved quality and reliability. Well, automation is precise and repeatable, so it ensures that the product is manufactured with the same specifications and process every time, which cuts down on repairs. Another would be better floor space utilization. By decreasing the footprint of a work area and by automating parts of your process line, you can utilize the floor space for other operations to make the process more efficient. So basically, a robot could do multiple things in one place instead of a human having to go from section to section or, spot to spot. So another benefit there, reduce waste. Robots are accurate, so the amount of raw material used can be reduced. And then to stay competitive, reduction in schedule and cost attracts customers. So automation can help provide the highest throughput with the least amount of spending. And then also, small businesses benefit from automation. With the introduction of robots, a company's size is no longer the issue. So small companies are able to compete with larger companies. So you have more small businesses getting into the automation and the robotics. And then the bottom line, of course, is cutting costs. So if automation conserves materials and financial resources and waste product is no longer a problem, production time is faster, more efficient, and untiring. Robots don't take breaks and they don't need vacations. So those are just a handful of the benefits of automation to businesses. And the reason why I wanted to bring that out is because if you want to be sure that a business is going to do a particular thing, you look at the benefits to the company. And the more benefits there are to a certain action, then the higher the likelihood that a business will do that action. So automation is here, and there's very, very good business reasons for businesses to, unfortunately, hire less people and invest more in robotics and automation. Any thoughts on that, Peter?
Yeah, the concept of automation makes a lot of sense. The concept of using machines to do the things that people could do but probably aren't perfect to do make a lot of sense. So use like one example of where it would make sense if you were a company to be able to use this automation and things along that line, then wrap it around, if you will, that whole concept of artificial intelligence. Let's use Walmart as an example. I'm not sure the name of the machine that they use, but it's a big machine. I think they call it the cash monster or cash machine or whatever they're going to call it, cash 360. I don't remember the name of the machine specifically. But in every Walmart store, there's somebody who counts the cash every day. You know, somehow it gets from wherever it is in their cash registers to in the bank, you know, when they bring the Brinks trucks or the armored trucks and stuff like that. And I don't know exactly how many Walmart stores there are across the United States, but let's just use an example of about 4,600. Well, they recently automated the counting of cash. So you could do that with a machine, right? You got a little laser, got a little counter, do whatever it does, and they take all the cash and they put it in this little cash machine, and they basically eliminated that job in 4,600 Walmart stores. Now, Vince, if you and I were going to be running a business and you said to me, what do you think the human element mistakes would be on a daily basis with 4,600 humans counting that much cash for a huge company like Walmart? And I'd say, oh, my gosh, Vince, mistakes are something we would be dealing with every day, right? So every day.
Yeah.
You'd be dealing with 4,600, you know, how many, even if it was a small percent, 1%, a fraction of 1%, we'd still be dealing with problems every single day related to the counting of cash, which would be really important, and the projections of all that sort of stuff. And just think about how many complications your life would have. It would be a small project or a huge project just to be able to manage that whole entire process. But if you can automate that, one machine in every place, dump the cash in there, zip, 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 in a few minutes, you'd probably be done. You'd be able to get your projections out, how much you needed on hand, how much each store was using, blah, blah, blah. Your projections are there. It would just be a much more efficient way of running a business. So, you know, sorry for the 4,600 employees that lost their job, but realistically speaking, automation does make it a better business model for the Walmart, you know, supercenters. So that's one idea of where, from the business perspective, it can actually help. Now, what might it help do? Well, maybe they could take this 4,600 people and realign them into something else. Customer service, you know, as far as that would be nice, right? Or some other level of management. So maybe we're not eliminating those 4,600 jobs. Maybe we're redirecting those 4,600 jobs into areas that might actually enhance and build the sales of the company. So that's an example of where automation on the short side looks like it takes away someone's job, But realistically speaking, if it could be automated, it probably should be automated. So in that example specifically is where automation really works for a company. And then, of course, if it works for Walmart, could it work for anything less than Walmart? What about all those other grocery stores or department stores or retail stores that are similar? Well, geez, Vince, if it were me or you, we would make sure that everybody that counts cash has one of those machines available. This way we eliminate all of those people. Now you say, oh, shoot, this is getting a little bit scary now because a lot more people's jobs are probably being eliminated by this one single device. This one single device could actually make most of that kind of extinct, if you will. And those are the things that we need to make some adjustments on or for. And just one of those things that's going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not. So if I were going to school, I probably wouldn't plan on going to school for being a cash counting person over at Walmart or a retail store. I'd probably be thinking about something else. So over to you.
Wow, that is an excellent point. I remember, when I was a lot younger, working in retail and getting your cash drawer to balance at the end of the day. Man, that was a major deal. Obviously, you can't have, for sure you can't be under, and being over is not much better either. So yeah, an automated process to count the money for you. No mistakes. Humans make mistakes, especially when they get tired. And it's just another example. And I wanted to say, I guess some people might feel safe in the knowledge that you can't get rid of all the humans, and that's true. But what you have to look at is the reduction in the amount of humans that it takes. So education is going to become more and more and more important, for even manual labor jobs, instead of having, a whole crew of people, for whatever that section does, maybe you have 25 people right now, but if you can put robots in there, well, you might only need a couple supervisors. And those people are going to have to be educated because the competition is going to be tremendous. And also, you have to know a little bit more, when things go wrong or if things ever go wrong with your robot crew. So it's coming. It's coming whether you want it or not. And you have to get ready for the competition, or better still, why not have your own business? Why not build your own economy? And that's kind of what this whole series is all about, is just kind of bringing a focus on the next wave. You had the industrial age, you had the Bronze Age, and all those. Well, now you've got the age of automation, and this is the next defining moment in human history. So what do you think on that, Peter?
I think you're right. So what we should do is let's take our little commercial break because I have some more things to say, and we have some more things to add about this automation thing. So let's do this. You're listening to the George Vincent radio show, so we're going to be right back.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. If you sell a product or service, then you should check out PMMarketing's NetworkLeads.com. Just visit www.networkleads.com. For over 18 years, PM Marketing has helped distributors build their home-based businesses through lead generation, website development, automated email delivery systems, and sales training. If you're looking for a way to increase your skills and increase the number of people that see your product or opportunity, NetworkLeads.com can help. To learn more, visit www.networkleads.com. Ask about their lead management system, capture pages, personalized websites, MLM training, humongous blogs, the humongous classified ad network, Building Fortunes Radio, or their webinar schedule. NetworkLeads.com can be your one-stop shop for everything you need. And now, back to our show.
And we are back. Peter Mingles here with George Vincent. We're on the George Vincent Radio Show. Make sure you go to buildingfortunesradio.com. When you go to buildingfortunesradio.com, make sure you listen to the George Vincent Radio Show. And, George, you have been, as I kind of explained a little bit on the creative side, so you even put together some of our radio shows on a YouTube channel. So let's give a shameless plug to the George Vincent YouTube show. So how do people find what you're promoting on the YouTube channel or your website? Let's talk about your website because that's where they can find it.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. For one is just go to, when you go to YouTube, you can just type in the George Vincent Radio Show, and that's the quickest way to get to my YouTube channel. And I've got all the videos from the radio shows to videos, the live videos I've made, and then kind of a new thing that I'm branching off into is more of movies, short movies for advertising, but we'll get more into that as we go along. And, yeah, just come on and, I appreciate your support, and don't forget to subscribe so that you know when I post new videos.
And then also you have a domain name that you're working on, thegeorgevincent.com, thegeorgevincent.com. So you can go there as well and see the things that you're playing with. I'm going to go back to the concept of automation. You know, you start to think about some of the pressures of this. If the cost of labor and the cost of humans and the cost of litigation and the cost of health care and the cost of all those types of things were going down, then there would be negative pressure on why should we automate? Why don't we just use humans? But on the other hand, it's just the opposite. People are pushing for a $15 an hour minimum wage. Now, I used to run a small retail company, with my Electrolux businesses. And if somebody says, the guy who washes the windows or the guy who is the part-time person who fixes the machine or the secretary or whatever, and I have to start paying these people $15 an hour, I'd say, you know what? That's just, we're not going to be able to do that. So if there was a way for me to automate it, I probably would. If there was a cashier that I had, even though I'm not talking about their personal worth, their moral worth, I'm talking about their economic worth, it's not worth it to have a person for $15 push a button, like at McDonald's, if he was a cash register, just not in the card. I'd have to raise the prices of hamburgers significantly if that's what I was looking to do. So the price of health care is pushing automation. The price of minimum wage and the pressure associated with that is pushing automation. The price of having employees is automation. Lawsuits, good old lawyers, they always push up the price of having employees. Then you talk about stuff like, they get sick, they whine, they misbehave, sexual harassment, they make babies together, they punch each other, they shoot each other, all those types of things. I mean, working with people is kind of like a messy thing. So if you or I were big companies and we can avoid working with people in any capacity we can by automating it, guess what? George Vincent, we eliminated a whole bunch of problems. So the companies that are using automation are just smart. The people that are losing jobs to automation are just unfortunate. But that's the world that we live in, and it's probably going to be more the world that we live in because everybody, it feels like, is working on how do I automate my business so I can have those cost-cutting measures. And even though I might have the capital expense of, those robots or the automation, I'm willing to do that because after the first couple of months or the first year or so, it's kind of like paying for itself in advance, at least in theory. So back it over to you.
Yeah, and that's 100% correct. The bottom line with business, it's nothing personal. It's just business, and that's kind of what I think that we have to realize as a working public. That as the call goes out for higher minimum wage and the living wage, which, I'm not opposed to those things, but if it's not affordable for a business to increase your wage. Well, then what's the alternative? Well, then I might as well automate some of these positions and only pay the higher wage to the more skilled employees. And that's kind of what we're trying to get at is it's coming. It's got to come. You know, I was just reading a report on from OSHA. You know, the Health Administration says that companies pay nearly $1 billion per week in workers' compensation.
Wow.
Just workers' compensation alone, you know, and what does that have to do with anything? Well, if you automate or if you put robots into a manufacturing facility or, you know, a warehouse, imagine how the safety goes up and that $1 billion a week goes down to just a fraction. So these are some of the things. I mean, it's like the handwriting is on the wall. You know, like I said, McDonald's, well, a lot of that stuff could be automated. I don't necessarily need a human at the counter to take my order if you throw a kiosk up there and boom. You know what I mean? So it's all about the bottom line in the most efficient way, in the most profitable way for a business to increase profits and maintain their profitability. A lot of this is going to depend on automation. So here it comes. Get ready for it. And while you're getting ready for it, why not build your own economy? You know, you have to take your destiny into your own hands. And it's so important, and it's going to become more and more important as more and more of these processes become automated. You know, you look at these big box stores and you're seeing more and more the self-checkout, which is great. I mean, who wants to wait in line, right? Well, the more self-checkout, the less cashiers you need. And it's not the customers being mean or trying to get rid of people's jobs, but, you know, you have to get back to work yourself. So you might not have time to stand in a long line. So, boom, let's do self-checkout. Or, you know, I've got an app on my phone for one of my favorite stores that I shop at every week. And as I go through the store, I just scan the products. And when I'm done, you know, putting stuff in the cart, you know, I pay through the app, and I never, ever use the cashier. And I just, boom, just walk out. You know, she scans the barcode that comes up, boom, at the door. So that's one person at the door as opposed to, you know, 8 or 10 cashiers. So, you know, it's you know, like I said, it's nothing personal. It's just business, and we all play a part actually in automating ourselves out of a job. We all play a part in that because time is money. Nobody's got time for hardly anything these days, and the more efficient, the more business a business can handle, and so consequently, the more customers they can process through their business, whatever it is. What do you think, Peter?
I think you're right. So the question is how do you use automation now today in your life? So I'll just use one last example of my business. So this is me, right? So when we first got started, I had a gentleman named James who is, by the way, passed. He's passed on, so he's no longer with me, meaning he died. But when I met him, he automated everything. So by the time we were finished, he literally had a screen on his computer. So he was like a geeks, you know, like he was really one of these super brilliant computer guys. So everything that he needed to do for maintenance, he automated. And he automated some checklists in there as well to make sure that the automation actually worked. So, you know, because sometimes you do stuff, and if you're a programmer, and that's not you, Vince, I know you do things a little bit differently, But, there's a lot of programmers that have what they call programmer arrogance. Is like, oh, I did it. I don't have to check it because I did it. I'm like, yeah, right? So the idea was he always had redundancy in there, and I made him do that. But by the time we were finished with the projects that we were working on, one specifically, he was able to automate the work of at least 3 or 4 full-time programmers if they had to do it manually. So a full-time programmer, if you had to do it manually, might cost me $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 a year. He, through his knowledge, through the stuff in his brain and the stuff he was able to put on code, probably put together and saved me over $250,000 a year in labor expenses if I had to do it manually. So that's the benefit of automation. Now that's for Peter Mingles, right? So that's one example, Peter Mingles. But if you really think about it behind the scenes, many of you have the same type of advantage. You just don't see it through all the automation that will happen if you build a home-based business company like a network marketing company, or you become a distributor for a big company. Because nowadays, where the growth is going to be in a global market where you can actually get and keep customers. So you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. The automation is going to take care of itself, and the warehouses and the human resources and all the other sort of stuff. All that stuff is going to take care of itself. You can take advantage of it by getting and keeping customers. So learning how to do that, build your own economy, is probably going to be more important than ever before. And the last part is there's never been ever in human history an opportunity for you sitting in the chair or standing wherever you are right now to be able to run a global business. Global. It's a big world, 7 billion people in it right now. Who knows how many there's going to be when, in the next 5 years, one way or another, plus or minus. But the reality is you can run a global business and have customers in many countries as a result of taking advantage of this level of automation, artificial intelligence, and the things you have available right now. So never before, Vince, has the technology worked to your advantage. And that's one of the reasons why we do Building Fortunes Radio. So back to you.
Yeah, and that's 100% true. One of the things that my career has really consisted of as a programmer is the elimination of jobs. That's the hard, cold facts of what programmers do. And by that, I mean we don't come in and point people out. What we do is we automate processes. So if it takes 6 people to get out a certain series of spreadsheets and that management can use for their presentations, well, I'll come in and I automate that whole process. And now, instead of 6 people, you only need 1 person. Or you might not even need 1 person, because I'm going to automate the process and I'm going to email the reports out automatically. So, that's the way of the world. Like I said, nothing personal. It's just business. So I think we're drawing near the end of the show. And really the whole point of this show and our conversation and our series is really to help people to prepare and get ready for the next wave that's coming, the next revolution, which is the robots and AI. And the whole key to that is to build your own economy. And now is the time to start preparing, and now is the time to start, thinking about how best to protect yourself and your finances and your family. You've got kids, a wife, and, you have to keep the lights on and all that. Now is the time to think about it. Don't wait until automation you might become a casualty as far as your job is concerned. So do it now, and stay tuned for more from the George Vincent Show. And again, I appreciate you listening.
Perfect. We're going to catch you next week. We'll see you soon. This is Peter Mingles and George Vincent. Check out the George Vincent Radio Show, and also go to thegeorgevincent.com to see the website he's developing as well. Guys, we'll catch you next week. Thanks, and bye for now.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingles. Be sure to check out the BuildingFortunesRadio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.